That is what she said. I'm Eric Paul Johnson,
And I'm Eric Wincentsen.
and everybody was pretty quiet last week about Songbird, or the week that it came out. And then the next week, everybody had something to say about Songbird. And then they
Yeah,
also
they were
had
walking all over it.
all over it, yeah. And then there
Yep.
was Beatles Forever, and then a lot of people had stuff to say about that. So there's a lot of comments, but do a quick thing here. We have a new YouTube subscriber, and her name is Marnie Arnie,
Congratulations.
or his name. I didn't research deep enough to find out Marnie's gender.
Hmm. So, did most of our comments on Songbird come through on Twitter?
Oh, I see what you.
Because I would expect to have received a lot of tweets.
I see what you did there. There we go. Okay, let's get right to it because yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and Zoom's counting down the time. So
Yes, it is. So Corey Gomel, who's on vacation in places that we can't afford to go, says, "What a penultimate episode! You play all the greatest hits. I agree with EPJ. ENIAC should produce the next LP, maybe a double LP with Jeff's production on LP, ENIAC on the other. Songbird works, but why not just call it Bluebird, Jeff? You're not fooling anyone."
yeah, I mean it's the future. You albums don't have to be a certain length anymore; they can just go on forever. So sure, why not? Jeff, I was going to say side, but everything is streaming in files, so I don't know. The Jeff songs and the ENIAC reverberations. So yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Dan Nobles, I like Songbird, but I don't get any big hankering to hear it. Sometimes, most times, it gets skipped on my playlist and will probably get trimmed off of it. I do like the solo, and it's cool that he started with the imitation of the namesake of Songbird he was singing about. We can relish in the fact that, for most of his recording career, his Songbird did indeed come home, and we reaped the benefit of that. I agree with the Eric's comment about it not being the greatest ending to the album. One of those classic epilogue endings would have been nice. But Jeff is playing it pretty straight these days. But don't forget, guys, Jeff's music is like fine wine. Some songs you groaned about, you may well later groan at the commentary you made on them. Compared to some other music we get from aging artists, I'm enjoying the heck out of this album. Yeah, I guess there's that. I've never drank wine, so I don't know anything about aging like a fine wine. I have drank old milk, and that was a mistake that I was sorry I made. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say like fine wine, which, yeah, well, when it turns out in a taste test that most sommeliers can't tell the difference between $2 Chuck and and the stuff you pay a few $100s with once they're blind taste tested. Uh, but no, I could actually say before anybody yells at me that as much as we complained about it sounding the same, I would say Jeff has never given us $2 Chuck.
No, that is very true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So there you guys go. We're not that bad.
Now get off her back, even though
He's given us Budweiser, but unfortunately.
now get off her back, even though only a couple more episodes and there you won't have our backs to get on anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
Until the new album comes out, and
Oh, that's
then
right. Yeah.
yeah, which we're supposed to hate.
Oh, I already hate
Without
it.
ever hearing it. Yeah, without ever hearing or it even existing. I guess we're already supposed to hate it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just
Yeah.
avoiding the rush and the anticipation. I'm just, oh, I hate it already, even though I haven't heard it. If it's even going to exist this year, so we'll
Yep.
just get right to it.
So
Yeah,
MJ Fold says, just listen to this penultimate episode. See, people keep using big words.
we have smart listeners.
Yeah. Either that or they heard me say it and looked it up and went, hey, that's a good word. Just listened to this penultimate episode and started to get a little sad that we are approaching the end. I was glad to be a very small part of it in the latter days. Oh, I'm just going to record song snippets of all the songs I didn't do, pretty much everything before Mandalay. You're still cool to go through every old podcast, insert them in, and re upload them. Yeah? Oh, by the way, did Eric Wincentsen listen to the ENIAC version of Songbird? I wanted to know his thoughts. I really loved what he did. Yes, he cheaply lifted the awesome coda from Shangri-La, but it really worked, in my opinion, of course. And no, I haven't heard it.
No, no, he still hasn't listened
No,
to it.
I have not heard it, but no, go ahead and redo all the do your little song snippets. We're really wondering what you're going to do with the Battle of Marston Moor.
Yeah, that should be interesting to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, our new YouTube subscriber, who's commented on a few of the older episodes, so she is going through them, or he, Marnie Arnie, said about Songbird, "This was really good. Thank you. Like listening to friends chat." Well, it's a good thing we put on the. We must be pretty good at putting on the act of being friends if people are buying it.
Yeah. Yeah, because of course, no I should say, no proper conservative would ever be friends with a long-haired hippie freak.
And liberals aren't supposed to be friends with uptight conservative people anymore. You're not woke enough for me, so time for you to be canceled.
Yep. Hey, you're not woke enough. You still believe in genders.
I'm not woke enough because I have insomnia. That's my issue. And we have comments for Beatles Forever. Yeah, Eric starts.
Jim Khan says, I agree with you guys. I remember excitedly hearing the awful pirated version that was doing the rounds after the Zoom concert. It was a little difficult to clearly make out, but exciting nevertheless because it was new and never heard before. All the way from 1983. But after the initial excitement, it was a case of meh. I'm glad he recycled the double time section and turned it into the superior video, my opinion, of course. The verses have nice chord structures, nice chord changes too, and they probably would have been recycled into something new with a higher BPM to stop it from dragging. Well.
A higher blood pressure monitor?
Beats per minute.
Oh, see, now that makes much more sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was assuming that you knew what beats per minute were or BPM was.
Yeah. I'm only partially dense, not completely dense.
Thicker than a whale omelet.
I can't. I gotta move on. I got too many things coming out of my head at once. And it's like, pick one, pick something. I can't. At times, okay. Anyways, Corey Gomel's comment on Beatles Forever. The holy grail of E.L.O. songs. Indiana Jones has yet to find the version of the song that was to be included on Secret Messages. I have never heard a better version of Beatles Forever than the version played by E.L.O. historian Rob Cager at the Storyteller pre-party in New York in 2001. I have heard all versions currently out there, and trust me, there are several alternate takes on Beatles Forever, but nothing compares to the version Rob played. That version was fantastic. Oh, sentence, paragraph break, or page break. That version was a fantastic song. It perfectly fits on Secret Messages. Jeff's first excuse not to release the song was because it sounds like he's fawning all over the Beatles. Was not too believable to me. But the real reason came out later. After becoming fast friends with Beatle George, he was embarrassed he didn't include a George song among the Beatle titles he sang in the song. And that, folks, is why Beatles Forever never saw an official light of day. However, come on, Jeff! You added It's Like to Latitude 88 North 30 years later and claimed that was what the song was missing. So add a George song and add a Ringo song. Make sure all Beatles are represented and release Beatles Forever. All the children sing. I mean, at this point, I don't think George is going to be upset if he releases Beatles Forever without a George song in there.
And I don't know if Ringo remembered which songs he did for the Beatles. So
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. If you're gonna he lists a whole bunch of Beatles songs, they're probably the big hits, the ones that get all the radio play over the last, at that point, well, I guess to him, over the last 20 years, 63 to 83. Um, and it's hard to think of many George songs that were big hits. Uh,
something.
that's the one. Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And Taxman. Do you
Wasn't a
want to know?
single.
Yeah. Do you want to know a secret? Yeah, that was a George song.
Hmm.
George sung anyway. Um, as for
I think that
Ringo,
one's credited to Lennon and McCartney.
it is, but in my head, I'm thinking that George is singing it. Yeah, it's George singing it. But yeah, and as for Ringo, I think Act Naturally was released as Yellow Submarine.
No, no, Act Naturally was written by Buck Owens.
Yeah, but I think it was released as a single.
Flip side of Yesterday.
Yeah, so it was a double-sided hit in America anyway.
Yeah, but no, that was a Buck Owens song. He didn't
Yeah.
write it. So if you're gonna bring out Ringo, it's probably gonna be Yellow Submarine. I think he
Oh,
wrote
Little Help
that,
from My
or,
Friends.
or the one. Well, thinking when he wrote, that would be Octopus's Garden.
Yeah, that was an
'Cause
album
I
track.
think with a little help from my friends and Yellow Submarine were both Lennon McCartney again.
Well, yeah, but I mean they had Ringo's
They
voice.
Yeah, but for Ringo writing, I think Octopus's Garden is the one that mainly comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ringo's
Yeah.
best song isn't even a Beatles song. It's It Don't Come Easy.
Um
So
yeah, no, he's got the I'm just trying to run the discography through my head and
that's an FU Beatles song. So
yeah.
that's an FU guys, I'm out of here song.
Yeah,
So
which they all were writing in 1970,
yeah. Then,
each
of
one of them.
course, we try to forget that Ringo Starr, at the age of about 30 something, did a cover of You're 16.
You're beautiful and you're mine. And that's when Scott Hansen
And
steps out of a
that's what his
closet.
cellmate says later on.
Yeah. And that's when Scott Hansen steps out of a closet and says, "You want to explain yourself, sir?"
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen. I always screw that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm on a first name basis with him.
Okay.
Not for those reasons. No, I'm just kidding. You again?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm legitimately delivering pizza.
And wine coolers to the 12
See, that's the guy you're after. The guy who just took off running.
Yeah.
Guy with the pencil thin mustache and the thick glasses.
Right. Okay.
Okay, Sugar Mouse says, "Wow, shocked you guys don't like Beatles Forever. To me, this is a great song."
Well, that's good. I'm glad you like it. And I'm not just trying to say that to be flippant or, trying to smooth things over. I love ELO. So when people say that they like an ELO song, even if it's one that I don't like, I think it's great that they like it. I think it's great that Foon went to #1 in its first week on the British chart. I will say no more because you'll all hear that this week when that episode comes out.
Yep.
Mark Jealous. The trouble, as you say, with famously unreleased tracks is that the hype can outgrow the song. Here I do like Beatles Forever, especially the bridge, but it's not a classic like, say, Hello, My Old Friend. I am a bit surprised it still exists, mind. Jeff, known as a perfectionist, wiped Dead End Street and replaced it with Sweet Talking Woman. Still, I would have liked the song to get released, either as a B-side or, as you said, on a collection. The first time I heard what I thought was Beatles Forever was on an MP3 with Indian Queen-like quality. Believing it to be genuine because of the similarly tributary nature of the lyrics, I heard a distinctly Kelly Crockett style voice and thought, hey, Kelly works really well here. I much later found out the song was Titles by Barclay James Harvest from about 1975. Despite it not being an E.L.O. song, and indeed not Kelly, I still enjoyed it. A good Beatles tribute. Well, as is Beatles Forever. I had the same exact experience. And we talked about that on the expanded episode of
I was
Beatles
about to say I
Forever.
remembered it.
Yeah, when we recorded the episode about 2 months ago. Yeah, we talked about it on the expanded episode, which you can hear if you go to our Patreon site and sign up for the $2 an episode level. That'll get you episodes a week before they air, which probably doesn't matter at this point. And you get the expanded episodes, which again, there's a good chance there's no more expanded episodes coming at this point. So, but yeah, we talked about it. So if you want to hear it, you know where to pay for it.
And for the record, I actually like Beatles Forever a lot more than Titles. Because Titles is basically what it says.
Yeah.
Beatles Forever at least has some lyrics written by Jeff Lynne.
Yeah, in between the Beatles song titles, there's at least some, I love you guys, you're wonderful. Oh, your melodies, they're just the dreamiest and that kind of thing, instead of just, I want to hold your hand, something, and why don't we do it in the road? And that's pretty much what it is, titles of Beatles songs throughout the whole
and Barclay James Harvest has done so much better.
Reginald, Barclay, James, Broccoli, Harvest, whatever. Yeah.
You and your holodeck addiction.
Well, if you'd seen Troy the way I've seen her, you'd get addicted too.
Oh, you saw Wicked Lady?
Is that the one where she's running around topless?
That's one of them. That's she's not exactly happy with those movies. that and Death Wish 2, which unfortunately that it contained a scene with her involving the R word.
Oh.
Yeah. We're not getting into that conversation at the moment, so no use mentioning that word.
Yeah.
Or the other R word, which would describe what that movie was like.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen pictures from the movie, and I understand Riker's interest and Barclay's.
Yeah, well, normally some scenes in those movies have a point, but I guess in Death Wish 2, she was kind of bullied into it. So that's
Yeah. No, I haven't seen the pictures from Death Wish 2, and it sounds like I really don't want to see it.
Well, if you've seen one Death Wish movie.
Do people get their guts blown out everywhere?
Well, yeah, actually in Death Wish 2, yes. And going forward from there, Death Wish 1 has a bit more drama to it, but then Canon Pictures took it over and just pure exploitation and violence.
Okay, then I
remove certain scenes and it's really just mindless fun. But but no, they always thought back then that adding certain scenes in were titillating, which they're definitely not.
Sometimes not, yeah. And I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing people blown apart. I think
Uh,
that's why I haven't seen the Godfather movies. I've seen bits and pieces that make me, oh,
that's only the ending part for them. There's a middle part, and there's one thing that happens in the middle, and then the ending is where all the violence is.
I think
It
someone.
it it it's good writing because it keeps it in certain parts and doesn't inundate it. The rest of the other 2.5 hours, 3 hours, or whatever it is all story for the most part, and it's really, really good.
Okay.
So
Well, I like the Untouchable movies. The Untouchables movie, even though I don't like Kevin Costner and I don't like seeing people getting shot up. But even still, I liked that movie.
yeah, on the whole, Godfather's a lot less violent than Untouchables.
Okay. Maybe I
At
can
least,
watch it.
or even if it is, it's stretched out further so that you don't notice it as much.
Okay.
So,
Then maybe I can watch it. After we finish this Zoomcast, maybe. Now that Madeline's home from school for the summer.
yep. And so you can let Madeline watch Godfather and Godfather 2 and skip Godfather 3.
I've heard that about the movies, yeah.
Unless you're really curious about how it ends. Aaron Jansen. For a guy who writes lyrics last, I never understood why he couldn't just use the tune, but change the subject matter. I like the song, but maybe not all the gizzards. Would be a welcomed addition to the next E.L.O. album. Really like the tribute bit you put together in this episode. E.L.O. was something special, more than just music to me. Enjoyed listening through the years. Enjoy your time off. Now I'll go through the episodes that I had missed here and there. Thank you for your show. Enjoy the time off.
Thank you for your listening. Enjoy the shows.
Oh, and listen to them again and again. They're much better than cats.
Yeah, that line from this week's E.L.O. song, that middle tribute there, that was done by George Leonberger, whose name was there 2 seconds ago, and then it just vanished, and now I got it back. George Leonberger. He would do those segments, and yeah, and he stopped doing them after Balance of Power. He had other things going on, so he couldn't really do it anymore. But when we got to Beatles Forever, I asked him, "It's the last song. Would you like to do something for it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get it to you in a couple of days." And yeah, when I heard it, if I wasn't a Vulcan with a heart of stone, yeah, even I would have probably just a little bit there. That was really touching as I touch myself to try and put an end
On
to
the
any
arm.
put an end to any kind of Hallmark sap that's gonna try and come out. Okay, are you done down there? All right, here we go. MJ Folds feels weird. Yeah, I know it felt weird, but you know, feels weird for the journey to finally be over. I mean, we have bonus tracks, but I mean, as for the official songs, stick a fork in you. You're done. Well done, chaps. I have so enjoyed these over the years. From being a big fan to becoming a small part of the show, it has been a crazy ride. As for this episode, it was nice to have that bit with the guy acting out a Beatles Forever scenario. I had forgot about his segments he used to do. Made me happy to hear one more. But on to the song. I was never a big fan when we had that fuzzy fan recording, but the YouTube cleaned up version was quite a revelation. It will never be my favorite E.L.O. song, but I loved all the little wizards and bits we could finally hear. Yeah. It made the song a much more fulfilling experience. Take care both, and thank you for the entertainment. Oh, thank you for listening, and thank you for making some of the entertainment entertaining for the podcast, for the jingles you would do after George couldn't do it anymore. So, and yeah, I loved George Leonberger's bits. I thought it was great. When I first heard them, when he did them for a New World Record, I was like, "Holy crap! this is really good. It's usually people say, I got something here. What do you think? And it sounds like it was recorded on a little tape recorder and, oh, okay. No, he actually,
I mean, like our first episodes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, he actually has a long career in radio and radio production, and I've heard his voice before on commercials and other things. So it was really great to have somebody who's not just, say, an oaf sitting in their bedroom putting on a show for people. It's nice to have somebody who's had a lot of entertainment and radio experience to add some polish and professionalism to our little rinky-dink podcast.
Well, thank you very much for adding that to it.
Yeah.
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 Now, quick announcement, and probably this will be down in the comments here on the YouTube thing. If you are planning on sending us envelopes or briefcases full of money, the P.O. Box has changed.
Mm-hmm.
It is now P.O. Box 1932, Superior, Arizona, 85173.
So, even though, go ahead.
So the good news is that people in smaller towns seem to keep quiet about things that happen, so they're less likely to tell the gummit, as long as I keep them sufficiently greased. So,
yeah.
Great, I just hinted that everybody there's on the take. Wonderful. Okay, I'm already having to move again. Wonderful.
And even though there's only 2 episodes left, there's still time to save the podcast, to decide whether or not we go on and cover the other E.L.O. offshoots like Move, Idle Race, and all that, or if we don't. So,
yeah, we had somebody asking about that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was in another E.L.O. chat room.
Yep, and that hasn't been determined yet whether or not we'll go on or not.
Yeah, but he was asking about that. But I guess we got another listener starting from the beginning.
Yeah, and I've told him,
welcome.
And I've told him, be patient about those early episodes. Just get through them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just grit your teeth and pretend like you enjoy it.
Much like the early E.L.O. albums.
Yep. much like 12 years of school. Anyway.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Are we done here?
So I think, well, we're not permanently done. We'll probably be back one more time to take all the comments about the bonus tracks and the goodbyes and everything. But for today, I think we're done here.
I think we're done here.